Hello innovators, hope you guys are all well. It's time to jump into another crypto outlook following the last video we made. Now, you will notice the title of the video is We Were Wrong, and essentially that is absolutely correct. And the purpose of even making this video is to continue on from where we left off on the last video, which is, again, to be brutally honest here and say, whilst we did expect price to eventually return back to this level before seeing another potential rollover to the downside, we were actually expecting, which we publicly stated, for price to break below the $30,000 region temporarily before potentially returning back to these highs. Now, as you guys may know, especially if you've been following us for a long time, we are no stranger to admitting when something goes wrong. Me in particular, when it comes to the crypto side of things, in a wild west volatile market like this, occasionally you will be wrong. And naturally, when you are wrong, the trolls come out to play. Now, one thing with us in particular, we have a lot of people that purposely watch us to hope that things go wrong, to hope that we get things wrong, and to hope we're incorrect, because the brutal truth is the majority of people participating in the cryptocurrency market are trying to make a multi-million dollar fortune of very small, very insignificant sums of money, which is possible in the cryptocurrency market, but only in a particular manner. And it's very important. The reason for this breakdown is, as always, very unbiased. We're going to go back to what was originally covered, and we're going to look at what is currently happening and see if anything has changed. In my personal opinion, nothing has really changed for me at the present point in time. Now, what we were expecting was this area over here, around the $30,000 support floor. The reason I didn't even take a long from this level, I actually had buy orders on XRP located a little bit below, I'm not going to say the exact level, just below the current support floor of around 50 cents that we reversed from. And I was actually expecting to hopefully buy around a lower level below the 40 cents and 40 cents region, excuse me, to see a drive back up into this territory and above 80 cents. Now, that move has come first. I'm not too bothered by this, and personally, I'm actually more excited now for what could be occurring in the market. Now, most people, they've come out to play straight away. The trolls come out instantly when things go wrong. They say, oh, here we go, you were wrong, blah, 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 blah. But putting those people aside and continuing what we always do, whether these people like what we do or not, they still watch every video. They still will continuously and religiously watch and then leave their opinions after us. They're still watching regardless, because we know deep down the majority of people cannot accept the possibilities that the market could potentially go in the opposing direction. Because for the majority of crypto participants, and the reason we do our content, we are set out here to help people. Every single day I get up in the morning ensuring I can help at least one person make a significant impact for the better in their life. And the reason we do things the way we do here, it's very contrarian to what you normally see. We don't post thumbnails with our faces in the corner over here going, oh my God, bull rally, BTC 100 times returns inbound. No, because those people never end up making money in the market. And you guys need to realize we're going to be here through thick and thin. If things go wrong, if things don't work out as planned, we are still here every step of the way. That's because we're genuinely making money in this market. We show you we're making money in this market, and we are here through every cycle. We've been through every cycle now. So we know quite well how this market can turn out in an unfavorable scenario, and we think it's very important in each and every video to lay out the overall longer term projection so you guys are very well aware not to get caught out in any traps. Now, one thing that's really been piquing my interest as of recent is the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. I've been watching this religiously over the past few weeks, in particular looking at how it's been bouncing back and forth since around 2018, watching how it is in the present moment, and it's very clear we are currently in a stage of supreme greed. And only in the past few weeks we were actually in a phase of extreme greed, which has slowly fizzled down into that 71 territory over here. Now, this is a really good index to be monitoring, by the way. You guys should be paying attention to this. It takes into consideration all kinds of different factors: volatility, market momentum. Surveys have been paused, dominance, trends, but more importantly, social media. And one of our main factors of analysis in this market is not even price action, it's social media. And I continuously just stalk CT, aka crypto Twitter, to see what the overall bias is. Because one thing I've picked up on over the years is whenever you see a dominant trend in what crypto Twitter or crypto social media is pushing, the opposite will eventually happen. Now, people unfortunately do not have a grasp of a longer term perception and understanding what could possibly be happening, considering what's already happened in the market. Now, one of the things we said in our last video is crypto currently in a bear market? Now, looking at this chart right here, we actually do not know right now, and this is very important to understand, we do not know right now if we are going to continue the bull market or if we are shifting into a bear market. Now, the reason being is, despite everyone saying we are bullish, we are going to the moon, we've held the support, I personally, due to the fact we have an unregulated market still in play, there is an increasing, growing, dominant discussion of crypto being regulated, stablecoin regulations, potential ETFs coming forward, future ETFs, which, as we know from CME futures often provide the market with a little bit more volatility that's unfavorable most of the time unless we are in a bull market. Now, it's very important to realize the reason I'm not too excited yet, and number one, why I'm not too worried. The matter of the fact is, if we go over to Kraken again quickly, I still have that $218,000 or so on standby waiting for the right moment. The way I do things over here is patience. It could take a long time. It could take weeks, months, years. I do not care, because I am in this market to be here in 10, 20 years time. Because I personally believe, if we go back to BTC, what we are seeing right now in the grand scheme of things, even if we go, do you know what, forget BTC, I'm not the biggest fan of BTC. Let's use XRP, because we know that's the fan favorite. It's my personal favorite. It's what I choose to put most of my money into. And even every other altcoin that I hold, I'm holding those to make profit on those and continue accumulating my XRP holdings. One of the main reasons being due to where the world is heading in terms of the cashless society that has been massively accelerated by the COVID agenda. Whether I say agenda or whether I just say COVID, COVID itself has massively propelled the cashless society we're heading into tenfold, and we are pretty much in that phase already. You don't really need cash anymore to transact financially. You don't even need your debit or credit card anymore. You've got Apple Pay on your phone. Everything else is on your phone. You know, we're going to get to that phase eventually where everything will be swiftly transacted on a phone, and there will be no point anymore in coins or cash. And understanding the purpose of XRP, understanding the fact that it's being heavily suppressed as well, is the reason why in this present phase in time, I have the HODL portfolio, which remains untouched. I may take a little bit of profits out here and there if the market starts pumping, but I have created a separate portfolio, which is what I'm trying to shift you guys into understanding as well, because I think it's very important that people have a HODL portfolio and a portfolio to actively trade in. Now, the problem is with the cryptocurrency market at the moment, due to all of the huge parabolic movements and huge crashes we see, many people, when we discuss where price could be, let's just say 10, 20 years down the line, we are looking at a very longer term horizon. If I went to the 20-month or 12-month time frame, we can see quite clearly this is minimal. This is every 12 months. So we haven't really got a lot of price action. And if we just imagined what this could potentially be over the span of 5, 10, 20, 30 years, what we are seeing in this present day, this could end up being the support level for where price could be many years later down the line. The problem is with most people and most participants in this market, they have joined because of the huge euphoric parabolic gains. So when you give these longer term projections and kind of give a reasoning behind why you are in the market in the present moment, many people are expecting, let's just say we believe XRP is going to go to $10. Most people want this to happen in a single pump. And that's the problem in crypto. It's plaguing people that are driving and driven off instant gratification, and they're coming into this market hoping to get rich as quick as possible. Now, the brutal truth is not everyone is going to get rich from this market, and most certainly the people that are here to get rich quickly will never achieve that from this market, because unfortunately those people are plagued by many, many emotions, and when you're bringing emotions into the game, you're going to get annihilated quickly. A good example being BTC. Now, we, as you can see, are still holding XRP. This is very important. This is not our main holdings. I will never show my main holdings. This is my active trading pot, and this is what I show publicly, because I do not feel comfortable showing personal funds that are much, much larger than what this currently is. Now, this particular pot, and the reason we're very transparent in showing this, is because we want people to mimic this and replicate this and see how this works in real time over an extended period of time without having to hodl. This is the separate pot that you utilize for frequent or more frequent than using a hodl portfolio to actively take and extract profits out of the market to reinvest at a later date. This is very important because what's happened now, after seeing this reverse back up to this level, we've had many people go, "You're wrong. How do you feel now? You're missing out on gains." Well, no, actually, we've made a good 100k or so since this is reversed from the XRP lows anyway, because we're still holding a significant amount. Now, what I'm currently looking at in the market, I have not changed my bias. If we go back to BTC, the reason why I've said we do not know if we're currently in a bullish or bear market right now, we don't know if this bull run is going to continue. And this is me being honest. Instead of me saying, "Guys, we're going to 500,000 BTC," no, we do not know that. And one thing you guys need to realize with an extreme amount of importance is there is no historical price action above all-time highs. Now, these people that give you those targets, they're not basing this off anything. You can say, there's a limited supply, all of this stuff that people come up with, mining profitability. We saw that discussion here in 2018. Price will never go below $6,000 because it will be unprofitable for the miners. Well, price went down another 50% after that. Most things that people use as a justification as to why price cannot return to where it once was are the people that are hodling absolutely everything. And the reason you never want to be hodling 100% is because, number one, the market is prone to a huge amount of manipulation right now. And the same way people were sucking up to Elon Musk only a few months ago, ended up hating him and blaming him for the correction down here. The same goes for XRP. Let's go to XRP, around this point in time, when we took profits, people said, "You're insane, we're going to $2 next, just hold. And then when we crashed and bought again, they said, "No, you did not know this would happen. This was the SEC case." The market is manipulated. We are not in control of the market, but there are certain individuals and certain very wealthy individuals, aka whales, that have a significant play in how this market operates, and the fundamentals are used to justify where price can go next. Now, the market right now, not only is it in that unregulated phase and in that unregulated era, a lot could change when regulations start coming into play. So it's all about detaching from that moon boy mindset and being very realistic with what could be happening. Now, at present, going back to BTC, the reason we do not know if we're in a bull market or in a bear market, and why this is very similar to what we've seen historically, is because we have seen a 55% crash from around $65,000 down into that $30,000 territory. Now, because we have seen such a significant crash, this could be laying the groundwork for that bear market we were discussing. What we are currently looking at right now is that euphoric rally and return. And if we were to get up the Wall Street cheat sheet as almost a perfect example of this, you can see this in real time. Now, if we get up the Wall Street cheat sheet and we look at this at the moment, this is almost an identical mirror to BTC in the present moment. And this is something that's been playing on my mind more and more and more. As we look at this Wall Street cheat sheet, we can see the euphoric rally, "I am a genius, we're all going to be rich," which of course has happened in every single bullish cycle. We then see the crash, the first warning sign, but naturally everyone says buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, until it just keeps dipping. We then get the complacency phase. We just need to call off for the next rally. Institutions are getting involved. This whale's bought more BTC. This is a very funny topic to me. When people say more whales are accumulating, the difference is the wealthy individuals, the Elon Musks, the whales, those within, let's just say, the top 1% of BTC wallet holders, unlike the average crypto market participant that's driven off greed, euphoria, fear, all of the emotions that plague us as human beings, whales are investing and buying so much BTC. They do not need the 100k BTCs. They will make a lot of money if it happens, and I'll never disregard this because the way this thing's moving, it's very likely we will achieve this at some point. But they don't need the $1 million BTCs. They literally need these little movements here, and they've made more than enough. When you combine this with the likes of futures, which is currently growing in terms of dominance in the market and has a significant role in the overall cryptocurrency market dynamics. Now, futures traders are basically opening contracts that they hope to achieve, or they hope BTC to achieve a certain price point by the time that contract has expired, so they can profit from this and also hedge against their positions. So futures are essentially a hedging mechanism, and I'll probably do a video on this in the future and even a book on this in the future as well. But we have to understand, whilst price may be going up, the futures contracts, a lot of these could be betting on the downside. And what you are seeing in the present moment, psychologically, as we covered in the old videos, a lot of buyers will be trapped in the market from this point in time. Now, the larger players, the institutions and whales, they hold these positions for a much larger swing because they know they have that capital, especially with the likes of insider trading and market manipulation. If price is to go against them, let's say they're buying around these regions, they will happily buy the spot BTC market prices to hold BTC and drive the price higher and make a little bit of profit out of this level. Now, a good example is, let's just say institutions or whales are buying BTC at the 40k level around here, or even up here, from 50k up to 65k. The amount of capital these individuals and these entities possess is mind-boggling, and I don't think a lot of people perceive how much capital these individuals have and how much money they can make from a single bullish weekly candle. Now, a lot of these whales that will be holding BTC spot positions, or let's just say you see in the news that all of these BTC whales have bought another 100 million BTC. They're happy to buy that and pump it up to here because they've made more money than any of us are going to make in a single weekly candle. And that's me being brutally real. At the same time, these individuals are likely holding futures contracts looking for price to go lower. So they are capitalizing off the spot market by driving price higher, making a significant amount of money. When they take that profit off the table, because of the sheer amount of this orchestration going on in the market, these whales are then causing price to go lower. So whilst profiting from the upside on their spot positions, they in turn take their profits off the table, causing price to reverse and naturally causing a sell-off when the retail panic comes in to aid the futures contracts expiring at their desired prices. Now, when I say we don't know if we're in a bullish or bear market, first and foremost, the most important thing you need to be looking at right now is the top to bottom Fibonacci sequence, the A, B, C, D. Naturally, when we have a weekly Fibonacci in play, we need to be very careful here. The reason I say we don't know if we're in a bull market or bear market is because we've had a significant crash now. The only difference is we haven't just retested and blown through the roof. That would be a different story. We have created that head and shoulders formation. We have seen a minus 55% correction, We have now seen a pullback. This, for me, in the present moment, could be the bull trap we have been thinking of. We have got the fear and greed index showing an extreme amount of greed at present, which I can see myself from the trolling, which is what I use to fuel me more and get a better understanding of the market. Because a lot of these people that say, well, how do you feel now? You know, you're missing out. Well, no, we haven't shorted. We haven't taken longs. We just took some profit off the table. And now price is going higher at a certain region, which we've given to the members. We're looking to take a bit more profit off the table on XRP. That's not being greedy. That's being sensible. Because right now in this unregulated market territory, there is a certain element of risk. Now, the best way, if I just change the candle colors to bullish and bearish, I don't really like to use bullish and bearish candle colors. I like to have the same color candles to look more at the overall price structure, takes away the psychology, and I'd recommend watching the crypto course lesson on that. As we've seen historically, the best way to know when a bullish market is coming to a potential end is when you start seeing larger bullish candles. Let's go to 2017, larger breakouts of consecutive pumping bullish candles achieving very significant price gains in a very short space of time. As we can see over here, we saw the breakout, bit of consolidation, then those bullish candles started coming in euphorically before suddenly being slammed down in an instant, creating a newfound level of resistance. As we saw over here, price came all the way up, then suddenly something caused a huge sell-off, which is often the first telltale sign the parabolic rally could be coming to an end. When we go to the present day, we see the exact same thing. The candles get significantly more bullish in a shorter space of time, only to be met by a huge correction to the downside. The biggest problem at the moment is the euphoria now, and the bull trap that could be occurring is much more significant, because realistically, down below this support floor now are stop losses. There's a huge amount of leverage positions in the market, which creates a much larger and significant risk on what could be happening in the event of a liquidation. Now, I personally have not changed my bias whatsoever, but this is where experience and patience comes into play. I've been here many times before. I've often predicted the bull market maybe too early. I've sometimes predicted the bear market too early, but eventually over time, those levels end up coming through. And as we know, the majority of people, because they believe price will keep going higher, we're now in that bullish trap phase, in my opinion, where we're driving up to retest this level. We have created a newfound significant level of resistance from around $57,000 up to around $60,000. This level cannot be ignored in the slightest, because we went from $3,000, $4,000 or so up to $65,000 without ever really pulling back. Then all of a sudden we crash. From this level, after such a significant bullish rally, we ran out of momentum and the bears took over. Now, as we know, buyers will be trapped in the market. Options and futures, there may very likely be a lot of futures contracts looking to expire back down below. However, in the meantime, what a beautiful profitable opportunity to, number one, come back into the huge Fibonacci retracements, which confluence with this historically very powerful level now that took price out of a current bull market. So the reason we don't know if this is bullish or bearish, well, guess what? Number one, we need to break all-time highs to confirm we are still in a bullish rally. But because of this significant crash, if we fail to break this level, we have created a new swing on a potential bearish market. And if we come into this territory and maintain these Fibonacci retracements, the market dynamics can change in a heartbeat. And the only reason we're saying this is because of the crash that's happened. Number two, because of the euphoria that's being driven into the market. The amount of people now that are getting excited again, not only do we have a huge amount of leverage positions being accumulated, borrowed funds, this is so dangerous, but people never learn their lesson. Now, for me personally, I'm viewing this as a godsend. I'm not religious, but I believe this is a godsend and a second opportunity to take more profits off the table. Rule number one is never sell everything, and rule number two is never sell nothing. What this market could be doing in this present phase is dragging in those buyers once again, which is why after we've seen such a significant crash, this level needs to be taken into significant importance. We're not saying sell, we're not saying buy, and especially not any margin or leverage positions. But what we are saying is profit taking should be of consideration, because this could be a second opportunity to take those profits off the table, where if this level holds, naturally the buyers will understand we have a strong level of resistance now created that put the bull run to a halt. We have a significant crash. We also have a huge level down below with not much support, down to $20,000, down to around $13,000, and of course the Fibonacci is now, bearing in mind, we expected $6,000 BTC from around the 20k level being broken. From there onwards, we stuck to the possibility of $6,000 coming through. Now that we've seen the reversal and the crash, the Fibonacci extensions lead us to, number one, the historical all-time highs almost precisely. So this in itself is a massive warning sign, because the historical all-time high is here, the Fibonacci is there. I feel, regardless, we should still be returning to $20,000 at least. That's realistic, in my opinion. It's not too far-fetched, and if anything, that could even fuel a much larger reversal back to the upside. But at the bare minimum, there is a very strong untouched level down below, not to mention a huge amount of liquidity located below this level now. But naturally, looking at this, the reason I wanted this to go down lower, first and foremost, is because it would have meant a much faster bull run for the next cycle that comes through. The only issue here now is, because we're seeing a massive retracement on a weekly into this level, if this level maintains, this could be a much slower and longer bear market than expected, which will slowly but surely, bouncing back and forth, potentially take us down to the sequence. As you know, when the 78.6% is fulfilled, it increases the possibilities of the minus 61.8% coming through. Factored in by all of the chaotic stuff going on in the market, factored in by the consideration that regulations could come in at any given moment. By holding absolutely everything, you are taking a significant risk here. And one thing we try and get across to people is, even if you say hodl, 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 let's be honest. How many times, let's go to XRP on the weekly, how many times have we seen these pumps, 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 pumps? Even during this moment in time, we pulled all the way back up. Everyone says buy the dip, we're going back higher. No, We are not in a constant bull market. The market switches between cycles. And in this very volatile stage, if you can expect to see these huge upside movements, you can also expect the same for the downside. The euphoria is higher than ever. We have been to a point higher than we've been before. Now we are in that huge stage of euphoria again, where naturally all of these people are going to be buying, and there's going to be a lot of people where, again, unfortunately, the way the markets operate, the wealthy, they thrive off the relatively lower class losing. The goal here is for the retail trader to lose so the wealthier can become more successful. Everything you expect to happen is the least likely scenario to happen. And you need to have a much longer term perspective to understand that, yes, you may be buying around these levels, you may have bought here and made some money. But if you're not capitalizing and taking profits off the table, that is meaningless. Your goal in the present stage of the cryptocurrency market, understanding utility is not even at a brink of the level it could be in 5 to 10 years time. Your goal should be accumulation. But the best way to do that is to create a separate pot to leave your HODL portfolio and continuously take some profits off the table with each stays higher. As we've seen historically, yes, if you held forever, you would eventually get wealthier. But if you're not taking profits, you're potentially holding a drawdown as you slowly average your buys in higher and higher. You're slowly but surely accumulating at a higher and higher price with no goal of taking profits. But all you need to do is not do it perfectly. We've shown you numerous times why it doesn't need to be perfect. You can just take profit on a nice pump to the upside. We've created an all-time high, we're returning back. It would make sense to take something off the table just in case. The biggest thing we see in this market is, oh, but what if I take profit and it goes higher? And everything in this market is essentially driven on people going, but what if it goes higher? But I always say, but what if it goes lower? Why would you, if you're willing to hold because it may go higher, why are you not willing to take profits off the table in case it goes lower? Why do we only factor in the bullish side? And the truth is, most people are manipulated to believe and be stuck in this hodl and moon boy mindset because that's how the majority end up losing. And there's a reason why when the market goes into this phase, Telegram groups start appearing. Crypto Twitter says this is the last time you can buy BTC below 50,000 again. And then when this happens, people go missing. And it's funny from our perspective, the same people that say, what's happening? You were wrong. You know, all of this stuff. When this happened, those people were silent because they were terrified it would go lower. And it shows the market is dominated at present by emotions. And when emotions are linked to the markets, those people with an emotional attachment into their investments always end up getting slaughtered. Because when you're not taking profits off the table, every single swing up and down is playing an emotional impact on you. Emotionally, you are stuck because you're going, oh my God, it's going higher, higher, higher. But you need to be taking some profit off the table to eradicate the emotional attachment. And a good example I always show, this is something I showed to the members recently as well, is when you take no profit off the table. And the reason why I'd never give huge upside targets behind all-time highs is because there's no price action to dictate this. And if I was to make a video with a huge thumbnail of my face in the corner saying BTC 500k next, it would be great clickbait. It would get loads of views. Everyone would be like, yes, I'm so happy. But this is almost confirmation bias. And people that are hodling forever will not consider the possibilities that the market could be rolling over one more time, as it will likely do for the rest of its lifespan. As we see in any other market, there will always be corrections. But when you're attached to it in that manner and you're not taking profits, you are hoping. And that's why all of these people that cause that FOMO and those crazy YouTube thumbnails and those crazy clickbait titles, the reason they do that is because they know the average crypto market participant is highly emotional. They are looking to invest a few $100s and turn it into several million from only one investment at no price. They don't care what price they bought at. As long as they buy and they're involved, they think they will get rich forever. Now, that's not going to be the case. Not everyone is going to be rich. You have to, if you want to achieve wealth, play this in a particular manner. And my goal here is to utilize, whilst the market's in this very uncertain, shaky phase, to capitalize by taking some small portions of profits off the table every single way and reinvesting that at a much better price. Now, looking at it from not only the Fibonacci perspective, but also understanding that buyers are being driven up into the market right now. There has not been a pullback in quite some time. So naturally, we could be expecting a pullback soon. I personally feel this will be coming back into this territory over here, maybe even back to $60,000 or so. But what could be happening from there, with the 78.6%, the most important thing you need to be looking for right now is how the weeklies and monthlies will be holding that 78.6% or 61.8% retracement. Because it's had a significant crash, because it's on the weekly, the importance of this is magnified tenfold, and this needs to be taken into consideration. If it breaks above, we are simple. We play both sides of the market. If it breaks up higher, no problem. We're holding. We will never buy, or me in particular, I like to buy at low prices. And when people say it will never be at these prices, again, continuously, time and time again, it comes through eventually. It can take months or years, but it ends up coming through. And the reason I can make such a large amount of money in a relatively short space of time is because for the majority of that time, I am sat there waiting patiently doing nothing. I try to wait for the best prices possible. I don't get involved in the FOMOs up here. I get involved in the fearful side down here. And a good example is XRP. Now, personally for me, XRP, over 10, 20 years, the prices that we could be achieving will be beyond most people's dreams and beliefs. But as we know, and as we've seen historically, in 2017, when XRP started dumping, the hodl mindset really started kicking in. That's when it really became a big thing. Hodl, 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 hodl. Those same people, especially if you're around on Twitter or Reddit, you start seeing posts as we go lower. And what were those posts saying? I'm losing faith, I'm losing faith, I'm losing faith. And then as it goes lower, I'm losing faith. And then what happens when price starts getting to a point where people are back at a break even or a loss after buying the pump? They get out. What happened recently when something like Cardano starts rocketing to the moon? What does everyone say? I'm getting out of XRP, or I should have held Cardano instead. Why am I holding XRP? I personally believe price is being suppressed and manipulated, which clearly it is, to get people out of this market and to get people out of XRP in particular. It has been massively underperforming in comparison to many of the other coins. And I personally believe in this moment, after such euphoric drive higher, especially on BTC, these prices we've seen, the fear and greed index went to extreme fear when we were at these levels over here, $30,000 for BTC. Now what this means is, with all these people buying right now, seeing that crash, they got scared. Now price is going higher, the cockiness, the arrogance and the confidence comes back. Now what happens now if we drive all the way up and they're buying on the way up and price rolls over again? What happens if this time it goes lower? Those people will go from extreme fear to essentially shitting their pants. And excuse my French for saying that, but as we know, if this level is to get taken out, the amount of panic selling that will occur will naturally cause us to go back down to these levels anyway. Because everything these people have expected, and this is the problem as well, you don't want to be married to one bias. You want to be, the way we do things is simple. We sit back, if it goes up, we've taken some profit. If it goes even further, we're still making money, we'll take some more profit off the table later. So I want to essentially try and get rid of the 185,622 XRP here eventually. But at the moment, I'm looking to take away the 85,622. That's what I'm looking to sell at the moment and leave 100,000 XRP in the market. Because if it does do what people are saying, then we already know all-time highs will get broken and it will fly through to the moon. But I'm not willing to sell everything, and that would be absolutely stupid. And you should never, ever, ever be selling absolutely all of your crypto. You should be taking profits because the market is providing gains that may not be here forever. But at the same time, we should not be selling everything at any point whatsoever. And we will never ever suggest doing so, because we do not know. Remember, at the end of the day, we do not control the market. This is why I look more for downside targets to get better entries and accumulate my holdings further. My goal is to accumulate as much holdings as possible before the inevitable eventually happens on XRP. But I truly believe the inevitable is going to happen at the point people least expect. And that is going to be the point where people eventually lose hope and give up. As we saw here when the SEC case occurred, when we took profits on the way up and then reinvested at the bottom, we were still met with ridicule. Despite performing this flawlessly, people then started saying, XRP's dead, it's over, it's a shit coin, it's a junk coin, it's dead, the SEC will destroy them. Price then still proved it can go higher. So you have to realize at this point in time, the people that say hodl when the market's pumping are the same people that will eventually get so scared they will panic sell if price is to do the unthinkable and go lower. And the truth is, it's not actually unthinkable, it's very realistic and it's very likely because of how this market has continuously done it time and time again. But people do not really tend to learn their lesson. So that's why, thick and thin, through bullish and bearish cycles, I'm always here to try and just provide a speck of rationality, to just hope at least someone out there is listening and understanding that the possibilities of everyone buying at any of the prices they look at and then holding forever to become millionaires is very slim. That's living in cuckoo land, that's living in dreamland. And if you are in that hodl mindset, you should still be accumulating in this present phase. Every single pump the market has provided is often swiftly met with a counteracting reversal, as we've seen time and time again. So it's not too good to get your hopes up straight away. You really need to have a long-term perspective here. And that's why watching, let's just say, the 4 hour or the 1 hour every single day, looking for breakouts, it's going to plague your mindset and it's going to cause a lot of issues. The best thing you should really be doing here is looking at the weeklies and monthlies, understanding overall what's going on. I mean, even from a trend line perspective over here, there's clearly a trend line in play. Let's go to the weekly. It doesn't really mean right now, as we can see, we've got a high, we've got a lower high. What if this high fails to break? Then naturally, as we've seen every single time, huge pump over here, price comes back to just about retest the base of that candle body over there, or the candle bodies around this level here, 1.6, 1.7, whatever that may be, and then it rolls over. It happens time and time again. And we need to understand with every crash that follows, this at the present point in time, due to the significance, yes, there is a high, there is a higher high, there's a low, there's a lower high, but at the same time, because of the significance of this crash, we cannot disregard the possibilities of the opposing rollover one more time. And I believe due to the huge amount of euphoria in this market at present, there is going to be quite a significant shakeout. And I think a lot of people may get potentially wrecked, not in terms of leverage positions, that will naturally come anyway, but I personally feel from hodling absolutely everything, we could be missing out on an absolute godsend here to take some more profits off the table, which is why I've got some profit levels and profit taking targets up above. Not short positions, but to take and extract more profits off the table. When we see these kind of movements, how many times does this pump, or we see pumps like this come through and then price crashes? And what does everyone say in that point of time? They say, I wish I sold, I wish I took some profits. And that is occasionally what happens. And it's like people reset after every single bullish candle. They just forget what's happened historically. But from a zoomed out perspective, this is the 61.8%. This is the 78.6%. We've just fallen short. So I feel with this current euphoria already coming in, we need one more drive to the upside, one more euphoric drive to really get those buyers into the market. And then what I personally feel could be happening from there is exactly what we've said. But unfortunately, timeline wise, it's not looking possible it's going to be happening by the timeline I expected. And what we are seeing in this present moment means it could be happening over a much longer period of time and essentially taking us after this huge euphoric rally into a much slower bear market that could slowly trickle its way down again, where I personally believe XRP, if we do see that territory I'm looking for again around 20 cents, which is what that 200k is on standby for there, if it goes to 30 or 40 and it doesn't pull back lower, I'll just buy at 30, 40. I'm still growing my holdings. But the more profit you take, the higher you can buy. The goal here is not to continuously dip into your bank account and just lose everything and just take everything out of your bank account and drain it, or get a mortgage, or go and borrow an incredible amount of money on leverage positions. No. Be patient, be sensible, and don't get caught up in the emotional side of things. Because we know historically, every time people get too confident in the market, and this is what the market thrives off. It thrives off cocky people, it thrives off the arrogant, and the ego will be your biggest killer in this market. You have to understand, the market always does what it wants to do. We are not in control of this, which is why you need to be taking profits in case something does happen. But at the same time, we also do not control the market in terms of if it blew through the roof. So you need to be holding something, but you cannot be ungrateful for the profits you're making. Because even if you take a little bit of profit off the table and it ends up going much, much higher, the amount of movements this market makes in terms of percentage gains is so huge anyway. When you compare it to the real world, which currently we're not in, You know, people say we're going to the moon, we're going to the moon. We've been to the moon and back many times now, and we cannot disregard the strength of these levels that we've currently reversed from. And at the moment, price just looks like it's pulling back to retest. So we need to take this all into consideration, and they're all mirroring themselves very similar. In particular, Ethereum, from top to bottom, A, B, C, the 61.8% has been met. Do I think there could be another drive into this territory around 3,800, 4K? Absolutely, very, very possible. And at the same time, what that could be causing is a much larger reversal to the downside, where again, just like BTC, there's a huge amount of room to the downside over here, that if we see a break below this level, as I covered, the whales are probably making a huge amount of money right now. But those futures contracts, if we go to the BTC CME Futures chart, as we can see, now we've come up to fulfill the $48,000 gap first. This now leaves all of the gaps down below, which is really what is playing on my mind right now. There is not a very precise, but there is kind of a gap lingering still at around $60,000. So this is on my mind, as in, are we filling all of the upside gaps before coming in to fill the downside gaps? Our nearest gap at the moment is $32,000 or so. So this cannot be disregarded, and this is a very likely possibility. Now we've already seen a significant crash to the downside. So in my opinion at the moment, are we coming in to fulfill all of these checkpoints whilst all of these remaining footprints lay down below? $32,000 or so, $24,000, $18,500, and of course $10,000. This for me at the moment, these gaps are almost like checkpoints and future goalposts for the futures traders. Because as we know, frequently price is manipulated before those contracts expire to ensure they are closing in a profit. And when you are able to manipulate the spot market, you are able to then manipulate price in your favor to go towards where you want your futures contracts to expire. So at present, all of this could be a massive bull trap, and I'm not going to disregard this at the moment. And I'm personally not being bullish unless we see the highs being broken. This is the most logical way to do it, keeping the candlestick colors the same. Very clearly, there's a level of resistance up here. Pushing that even lower, it's essentially from this whole zone over here, around the 78.6%. Current support level term resistance, we are tackling this right now, coming into this level. If we break above, you see this bearish candle, there's been no price action from the top of this bearish candle to the base of it. So we're slowly coming in to fill this whole area over here, which has not seen a single retest since breaking lower. Now, the main thing we need to be watching out for is not to guess whether it's going to break the all-time highs or not, but is understanding there is no bull market continuation and there is no bear market until we can see what price is doing around these levels. If we fail to break and the 78.6% holds, we already know there's a new lower high that's been created, where naturally going from a high to a lower high to a low could also create a new low and a new lower high, eventually bouncing back and forth, similar to this. Let's just say we come up here, we drive lower. This could then pull back and then go down again, eventually bottoming out, to be honest with you, likely in 2022 now. If this is to maintain and hold, then we're going to see a very long extended crash lower, slowly but surely bottoming it out as it has done every single other time. And the reason I say this doesn't mean the market's bearish, I don't mean the market's dead. What I'm saying is this can all happen and then kickstart the next phase of the parabolic rally. And if we can imagine the Ripple SEC case being settled, at the moment there's no real expectations for this to be settled, or at least come to some form of settlement, until Q1, Q2 2022. I personally feel we're going to see a huge XRP shakeout back down into that 20-10 cents region, where conveniently, by the time that happens, we will probably see a very positive outcome for the SEC case. And then naturally, at that point in time, most people have given up and probably panic sold. And then XRP sets on its merry way to continue making newer highs. So for me personally, I'm looking to take profits at a particular region located just above. I've got 2 sell limits set in place. Take important note, not margin trade shorts. I am taking some more XRP profit off the table. I'm selling XRP to take a profit. And then in that instance, we will naturally see some form of pullback likely anyway, even if it comes back to 60 or 50 cents or 40 cents. I could buy back in at that price and still make a significant gain on the original holdings I've had. So what the main message of this video is right now, guys, is to be patient, to be calculated, and more importantly, strip your emotions out the game. Because the brutal truth is, if anything, this is making my scenario more likely just over an extended period of time. And one of the best things you can do is really gauge the overall euphoric outlook of what the majority of people online are saying. And that way you will understand what the majority are thinking. And when you understand that the majority of traders and investors, especially in crypto, end up losing money in the long run, all you have to do is look at what the majority are doing, do the opposite, don't get caught up in the latest hype, don't worry about what the media is saying, sit back, let the market do the work for you, just ensure you're capitalizing every step of the way. Because the same way people are so confident about price, let's just say BTC going to $3 million or $1 million or 100k or 500k, you have to also accept that same possibility for the downside. And for me right now, with this huge pullback coming through, it's creating a much bigger threat of a double resistance level being formed here to be retested, prove its validity, and then of course naturally rolling lower. So the most important thing to do here is, number one, even if it's 5% profit, just consider taking a little bit off the table. Don't think what it could be if it goes higher, think what it could be if it goes lower. And then will you be willing to sit there and wait another year or two potentially if a bear market is to eventually, bearing in mind it's likely a bear market will come at some point, we all know that, we just don't know when. So if this is to be the point where this could potentially be coming into play, now this has all been solidified, do you want to be that person holding absolutely everything, making all of this money, only to end up empty-handed again for another 1-2 years before the next huge parabolic rally happens? The goal here is not to drain that bank account to then buy the dip, because everyone bought the dip here, then here, then here, then here. So essentially, even if you're buying the dip during these bullish rallies, you're not really making money, because you need it to go a lot higher at $50,000, especially in crypto terms. If you bought the dip down here at $44,000 or so, you need it to go up here to make 100 times ROI, which in crypto is not a lot, and what a lot of people will not accept. If I'm seeing prices go from $4,000 up to 65k, I'm taking profits. We are not in a cult. This is also very important to end the video on this note. We are not here to be bulls and bears. Do not get caught in that trap. That's how people end up losing money. When you're caught up in the narrative of bulls and bears, or the bulls are winning, the bears are slaughtering, or the bears are being slaughtered, no, we are not in a cult. This is not a religion. This is not a gang. We are investors in a very infant space and a very exciting new technology that could be changing the world as we know it. And in fact, it already is changing the world as we know it. We are investors. And that means as investors, your goal is to make a profit. This market is not like the stock market. It hasn't proven its validity over a set period of time yet, because number one, until those regulations come into place, we do not know what these government entities are going to do to gain more control over this market. Because if you do truly believe that crypto does pose a threat to government and banking forces, then you can rest assured those individuals will be doing everything in their power to make sure they're in power and suppress whatever they can as much as possible. So we need to take this into consideration. And I feel for the space to grow, regulation needs to be implemented. But the short-term impacts of that regulation could be drastic. So I'm personally taking some more profits off the table soon with another push higher. And this is how you should be playing it. Because even when my projections go wrong, I'm always right, because I'm always making money. And that's the goal here. I want you guys to look at this and go, look, if you predict that BTC is going to go to 100k and it doesn't, but you take some profit off the table here, you were wrong. But financially, you're winning. And this is the goal. We're here to make money as well. Everyone says they're here for the tech, but that seems to have fizzled out since 2017. No one seems to care about the tech anymore. But whether you're right or wrong, you want to be continuously making money. And that's something we not only strive to do, but something we continuously do. And even if it's a significantly smaller sum than what we showcase to you guys very transparently, it doesn't matter. The same applies. It's the power of compounding. Small sums can become large fortunes if you know how to play it correctly. And remember, you don't have to follow what we're doing. You can completely disagree. We completely welcome that. In fact, we are more than welcoming of all possibilities, all scenarios, and all opinions. The only difference is we don't like people that are rude about it or confident. If someone says to me, you are wrong, No, you don't know that. You're wrong. You're wrong for believing I'm wrong, because none of us know if we're right or wrong, because the market is in control. We don't control the market. So be emotionless, be strong, be powerful. More importantly, be patient and ensure you're making money every step of the way. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hopefully have a bit more time on my hands now to do some more updates over a bit more of a continuous span of time as well. But again, comments, feedback, like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want more content of this type? Do you want more content of another type? But regardless of what that content is, we're always going to be very real, very transparent, and we're not going to go down that moon boy route. That's something we're proud of ourselves for not doing, and it's something we will never do to gain likes, subscribers, or even get people on our side. We're not here for that. We're here to educate people, we're here for people to win, and we're here for people to make a very big impact and a very positive change in their lives, both emotionally, financially, mentally, the full shebang. That's what we're here for. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. Have a great weekend, and until next time, we'll see you guys very soon.